So on the roadmap, during this webinar, we'll present elements to consider when you're designing your monitoring tools, activities, and plans for your SIF subgrantees. So first, if your organization has a monitoring system, we strongly suggest that you start with that and take advantage of existing systems, and then incorporate the elements specific to your SIF grant and federal compliance into those. This is important as organizations are required to follow their own policies and procedures, which may be more restrictive than the federal government. For example, organization policies may require an annual site visit, whereas it's not a federal requirement. So again, be sure to follow your own policies if you have them. There's many different kinds of monitoring. The commonality is where grantees review the critical element of subgrants, such as programmatic, fiscal, and compliance issues that are often both program and fiscal. In addition to presenting elements to consider when you monitor, you'll hear from Karen, who will share some of her experiences. Next slide, please. Monitoring is one of the critical elements and activities in managing your SIF grant. The intermediary is responsible for overall grant compliance. Through the monitoring process, you will develop and maintain the important relationship with your subgrantee. This process supports the success of each subgrantee, thus your overall grant. This can be a difficult role to be both the coach, judge, and jury. There are times when you will assist the program with their operations, then there will be other times when you need to judge the systems and their progress. In regards to monitoring, a key requirement of the SIF terms and conditions is for the intermediaries to follow the uniform guidance. 2 CFR 200.331 contains the requirements for pass-through entities or intermediaries. There's a list required for you to disclose certain information in your agreements, MOUs, or contracts. All of these requirements imposed by the intermediary entity on the subgrantee are to ensure that the federal award is used in accordance with the federal statutes, regulations, terms and conditions, and purpose of the grant. This regulation also includes some information on indirect cost language and information to support your SIF grantees and auditors regarding that. In addition, the CFR has a requirement for you to evaluate the risk of your subgrantee, as well as monitor both fiscal and programmatic performance. Since there may be more than one person involved in the monitoring due to the program and fiscal complexities, it is important to develop an integrated plan to make sure all of the requirements of the uniform guidance are met. On the Knowledge Network, there are tools to support grantees with risk assessment, which include a webinar. Lastly, it's important to ensure that pass-through entities properly identify subgrants and contracts. Again, specific differences can be found in 2 CFR 200.330. Next slide, please. Through the monitoring process, you will provide support, identify best practices, see what's going well, identify any existing issues, or identify potential issues. You're then able to address the issues and challenges immediately, often avoiding additional pitfalls. It's a best practice to take time after the monitoring to help identify themes across your portfolio. This information should inform your training and technical assistance plans. These will support the grantees, helping them along the way. Often issues going on with one subgrantee are not isolated, and there may be subgrantees that could benefit from similar support and training. Lastly, your monitoring support ensures your follow-up on issues and corrective actions. So again, make sure that action items in the report are clear both for you to follow up as well as your subrecipients. Next slide, please. Many new intermediaries may wonder what informs the monitoring plan and activities of a complex grant such as the SIF. Components of 2 CFR 200.331 that the intermediaries use a risk approach to evaluate sub-grantees' risk of noncompliance. Some intermediaries may perform a pre-award risk assessment as part of the selection process. If this is not completed prior to the award, it must be done as part of developing your monitoring process. Risk factors include grantee staff capacity, experience, which you should have information on those items from multiple sources. Some of the sources might be your RFP and application, interactions and conversations, information on their operations. You might have some outcome information. Also, if there's turnover or changes, you want to make sure you discuss that important information. Again, a risk assessment tool and examples are on the Knowledge Network. In addition to the fiscal components, be sure to review programmatic components such as the complexity of your program design, subgrantee partnerships and collaborations, and other key factors unique to your program regarding the subgrantees. Remember, you are ultimately responsible for grant compliance and overall performance for the award. Next slide, please. Finally, there's information in the organization's audit and financial statements which can inform you of prior issues. How much cash on hand is available? What is the organization's equity or rainy day funds? There are many critical pieces of information contained in their financial statements regarding and including organizational size, liquidity, what other federal grants which may confirm their experience, the size of the budget, the sophistication of the financial reports. Will also give you information on their spending and experience with match. In addition, you may have had an initial site visit or an interview that will also provide some pertinent information. Next slide. So what drives your monitoring activities and allows you to decide what type of activities will be used are your organization's policies and procedures. This is where you outline the process for the overall organization, information which may include specific interventions for each risk level, frequency of risk assessment, and what issues impact a subgrantee's level at any point through the process. Additionally, your own organization's monitoring strategy is about your philosophy on monitoring, which risk is a significant component that might determine certain actions differing from one organization to the other. Again, there's a risk assessment tool on the Knowledge Network that should be used as part of your monitoring plan. Your monitoring plan for each subgrantee then identifies the activities and timeline for each group. This is a prescription that will guide your monitoring by risk level. The information should be communicated to the subgrantees so it's clear. Providing tools that will be used for monitoring is also helpful. For example, the high-risk group might receive a site visit within the first 3 months, whereas a low-risk grantee might be scheduled for a visit 9 months into the grant. Again, this will inform your activities, actions, and support. Next slide, please. As you monitor subgrantees, you may note some red flags that will signal your need to address. At any point in your monitoring plan, take these into account and shift the risk level. So, consistently late reporting may be a sign of inadequate staffing. Not meeting match may signify troubles with partners or organizational commitment to the SIP program. Continuous issues with National Service Criminal History checks may be inadequate staffing levels or inadequate training. Subgrantees that don't implement corrective action plans could signal a larger organizational support issue. We've also found that consistent turnover could be reflective or signal challenges or difficulties within the organizations or expectations of a position. Low participant enrollment could highlight staffing issues or insignificant outreach. Lack of cohesive community partners could also be a staffing or programmatic issue. Again, there are many causes of these, but identifying them and shifting the risk and identifying support will help your subgrantees be successful. Again, if your subgrantees begin to demonstrate these signs, check in with them to find out what the cause of the issues are, what support they might need, as you may want to increase or reevaluate the risk assessment and your monitoring plan to support them.